Hello, dear friends. What a blessing to be with you today. Here we have another study based on the book Green Light by the Spirit Andrea Luiz through the mediumship of Francisco Cândido Xavier. And today we're going to be talking about chapter 4. Remember, the book is a beautiful way for us to learn from the good spirits how to go about and behave in our lives. And this chapter is all about our behavior at home. There are quite a few chapters on this book about what to do at home in relation to our relatives, with our children, a lot of different ways to relate with one another. Because after all, as Jesus brought to us in the book Jesus in the home is the school for the souls. That's where you and I are accepted. That's where we reincarnate. That's where where we take our first steps and lessons in this reincarnation. So there's a lot of ways we can make it even better for when we're talking about our relationships at home. Without further ado, if you're joining me, welcome. This is the book Green Light by the Spirit, Andrea Luiz. Goodness in the home environment is charity that begins at home. So the first thing he talks about is goodness, starting at home when we are kind and loving to one another at home. Our first school, then that's where charity begins. Remember, we are transitioning from a world of trials and expiations to a world of regeneration. And then we need to change. Each and every one of us needs to grow and improve. Therefore, the collective also improves. And it starts in our homes, the relationships we have, and the responsibilities we have towards one another. Next, how do we speak towards and with one another? He will say, do not shout, which is abusing your relationship with your loved one. So he says, no shouting, no screaming, always in a good tone of voice. Last chapter we talked about controlling the voice. And then in that chapter 3, I'll find a way to put a playlist on for you to refer to. He's talking about not speak too loudly, not to frighten people. And here he reiterates that we should not be shouting at our loved ones because then we abuse the intimacy we have with them. Next is to safeguard the house against disturbance and perturbation. And how do we do that? By using the domestic possessions and the things we have in our homes quietly without making too much noise. That's a good reminder for us. When we go about closing a door, do we slam a door or do we nicely close it? When we put something in the sink, do we throw it and make a bunch of noise? Do we close our cabinets quietly? Do we find a way to use equipments that are necessarily louder, like a blender, for example, in a manner that won't disturb those around us? Remember, your presence in the world. We have, I would say, a duty to safeguard our house against disturbances and perturbations. That's what Andrea Luiz is reminding us of it. So we go about our day quietly with kindness. In none of his books, in the Life in the Spirit World series, we see any of the higher spirit mentors shouting, yelling, making noise. If anything, they remind the workers of the need to be humble, to humble ourselves so as not to humiliate others. Right? Next, He will say, collaborate on solutions for problems that arise without complaining in excess or complaining too much. How many times we focus on complaining about the, the challenges we have instead of working constructively towards a solution? And I don't mean we will overreact, over prepare. We're just going to say, okay, this is a challenge we are working on today. The challenge of being together in this lifetime, remembering the things we do, reminding ourselves of the importance of this relationship we have now with one another at home. And that is valid regardless of what your home structure is. Remember, as a spirit, we don't have um, sex, gender. We also don't have, in this lifetime, we have bloodly ties. We are born in a specific family. We're born from specific parents, right? But that also applies if you made your own family as you're grown up, or if you live if you adopted someone or you adopted yourself. So here he's not restricting it to any specific home, just the home, the place you and I find ourselves in this lifetime. It goes without saying, friends, that if it was easy, we would be the ones dictating the books, not reading the books, right? So, of course, you're telling me, oh, that's easy to say. But when my family members are annoying me, what am I supposed to do? Not shout? Yes. You're supposed to remember that you need to lead by example. Do you like when folks shout at you? Do you like when your family members go around your home banging doors, pots, pans, making all those kinds of noises? And we're talking about adults who can control their behavior, right? But then it starts with teaching everyone in the house of the importance of what I do affect others. Go to the book Falling Life, chapter 8, chapter 9, suggestion and association. Those are the names of the two chapters. And you're going to see you are the sum of others. Therefore, others are a sum of you as well. He says, either by yourself or in a group of people, have your meal without agitation. When we sit to eat, because in this lifetime, we have a physical body that needs specific kinds of nutrition. We need to sit down, put the distractions away. That includes devices and phones, and be present with the meal. Other movements on the earth already know of these. So Thich Nhat Hanh, for example, talks about mindful eating. That's what we're talking about here. No agitation. No need to bring things that will cause conflicts to the table. When you pray before you eat and you visualize the as you eat each bite, not only you're going to eat less because you're going to savor each and every bite, but try to mentally say and visualize for the nutrients to be nourishing your body, giving you the nutrients you need to sustain this physical body as long as you need to fulfill your reincarnatory plan. I'm going to make an addendum here. Go to the book No Solar. And you're going to learn that in Laura's home, there was a girl that had just discarnated. And due to merit of the matriarch, she was allowed to have her relative in the house, but she was eating out apart from the whole family. Andra Luiz asks why. It's because of her mental state. She was emanating the toxic vibrations of her lack of calmness and disturbances because she still was upset about discarnating. And then she was infusing the food back with those fluids and then re-ingesting them. And that's what we're talking about here. No agitation, no fighting, no pressing people's buttons, because we know how to press our relatives' buttons, right? Where we need to Learn the sacredness of having a meal, thanking all who worked for that meal, including the millions and billions of beings in the lower realm, in the other kingdoms of life, not lower, in the other kingdoms of life, who give up their lives to sustain folks. Unless you're like me, plant-based, you thank the plants for providing your nutrition, right? So he says, either by yourself or in a group of people, eat the meals without agitation. Now he's going to bring it back to conversations. When you talk to someone, talk with them while edifying or creating harmony. So instead of breaking things down, crushing people's dreams and enthusiasm, we uplift harmony in a home. We bring the best that others have and ourselves, and we focus on the good. He says, find the door. It's always possible to find the door to mutual understanding when we are willing to relinquish our point of view in small demonstrations or renouncing those views. It is about bringing the harmony, not necessarily being right all the time. Sometimes we are wrong, but being open and able to listen, to truly not just hear, but listen to what others are saying, where they're coming from, why they have those behaviors, and much more. This is a very important chapter that we're addressing today. He says here, how many times a problem which is apparently insoluble needs only a calming word to be solved? Sometimes we get agitated, we complain, we catastrophize. Then someone comes like, that's easy. We should do A, B. What have you thought about A, B, or C? It's not a big deal. It hasn't happened yet. So sometimes problems which we overreact to or overcomplicate, someone comes in with a calming word to be solved, and you want to be that person. You want to be the one who quenches the agitation and frustration and the anger and the rage around you. You want to be the example. Because when we talk about Christ being our guide and model, that's very beautiful. Question 625 of the Spirit's book. The hard part is to do as he did, to actually do as he did. Be the calmness, be the voice of reason, be the one who doesn't shout, be the one who uplifts folks. Because we got to start at some point, right? He says, avoid commenting on embarrassing or inconvenient issues. It's about time that in this day and age, we stop bringing and worrying about scandals, celebrities, things that are inconvenient, disasters. It's about time that we rise above and don't give voice to those folks, to those issues, where we focus on volunteering, doing the good. We have so much. If you're watching this, you have so much already. And there's so many people, fellow beings in this world, who do not have. So we need to think of them. Just because they were born in a situation that they have less, that doesn't mean we're not supposed to do anything about it. We are here in harmony. What affects them ultimately affects where you are as well. So that's important. He says, when talking about sickness or illnesses, speak only the necessary or the essentials. Friends, when we are ill, there are three types of pain, according to André Luiz. One is pain evolution, pain expiation, pain education. Sometimes we are ill because in this life we are able to experience that situation and cleanse our spiritual body of those acts that we committed in the past, and now you're ready to. Becoming ill is part of being alive, being having a physical body. Yet, he says, speak only the necessary. Don't focus on all of the details, the gruesome things, or the negative parts of being ill. No, I'm saying being ill is sick, and I'm actually encouraging you to use measures of public health, aka masks and social distancing, plus hygiene, washing your hands, plus good nutrition, plus exercise, plus being able to restrain yourself from eating too much, drinking, so on and so forth. So don't seek illnesses so you can experience things. But if you become ill, because your physical body will at some point break down, especially if you live to be very old, we will all have challenges. He says, focus on what is necessary. Now, in talking, again, in talking, he will say, do not take advantage of a conversation to criticize or censor anyone, no matter who they are. It goes very well with not commenting on embarrassing issues, or what the neighbor down the street did, or what your second, third cousin's dog did somewhere else. So we need to, when we talk, we need to uplift folks. And last but not, he says here, look for small household acts to praise the work and love of those whom you share your family with, because there's a reason why we're all together. So small acts of kindness, of praise, looking for the things that do right instead of only focusing on what they do wrong. And I'm going to leave you with this. There's a couple more paragraphs, but we want to keep this conversation and meditation on the book Green Light by the Spirit, André Luiz, through the mediumship of Francisco Cândido Xavier. And dear friends, we'll be with you shortly with another. Time flies sometimes when you're doing the good. So I hope that between now and the next time we see one another, you stay well and stay safe. Meditate on the words of André Luiz, and I'll see you next time. Have a many blessed days.